Now you might be able to hear me. But I came up with a new idea for getting the doggone track under the thing. If this was an ordinary dozer, I wouldn't be able to do this, but I can pull the chain back. You can see it, the thing there. Then I'll use the chain and I'll pull it back underneath. And my goal is to have the master pin somewhere on this wheel to drive the master pin in. And then this thing can move around. Not that I'm going to work it without pads on the track, but I can get it to where there's an air compressor. So this is, yeah, my original plan was slightly riskier, was to go from the top of the canopy back to the tree with a block, and then have the skidder sit in here and basically tip the machine over, and then push, pull, somehow get the chain underneath it. But I think this is a lot safer for me to do it this way. But as I said, if this was a dozer model, you wouldn't be able to do this. You would, and actually, if it was a dozer model and it didn't have the winch on the back end, it might be able to do it as a dozer model, maybe, because there's quite a few 100 pounds there. This is yeah, this one is open on this side, so that makes this a number 8, a Gearmatic number 8, because it is open on that side. If it was a number 9 or a 19 or a 119, or there's several different versions of the 19. As you can see, it has the hydraulic control lever it moves, but it's not functional. And you flip that there to engage the drive to it. So yeah, I've been figuring out the correct orientation of the chain and whatnot, so that I don't have to put the darn chain on, drive the master pin in, and then, oh, it's supposed to be on there the other direction, and then have to drive the master pin back out, turn the chain around, and then drive the master pin back in. I'd really like to avoid that, because that would be not fun. This is plenty of fun as it is. So, yeah, dragging. That's why I didn't want to do this until this little tractor was up and running, is dragging this chain back and forth to get it underneath this thing by hand. No way. I mean, I guess you could do it, but good grief. You talk a lot about I'd need a anchor. Well, I got an anchor point right there, the old cane car. And that thing hasn't moved in probably approaching 30 years. It's well reined into and whatnot. So that's progress. I think I'm going to go drink some water. hopping on and off from this stuff and trying to do this with the two machines running and film at the same time. You wouldn't be able to hear a word I'm saying with the two engines running. So I just thought I'd take a short video. This is the link I had to replace, and you can already see the surface rust, but I had to drive that pin out and take the link that was on this end off and put that replacement link on the end of it, because these holes the hole there in the end was oblong, and that one's nice and square, so that it will hold the pin in there real good. So I'm going to get this chain on. I'm going to get the master link in, and once that's done, it will be a matter of tack welding this pin and the master pin that will go there, and then this chain will be installed, and then it'll be the matter of pulling the pads off from the other chain and installing them on this chain, finding out the right bolt size and all that fun stuff. So it will be very nice to get this thing back up and running, because as capable as that little Tinkerbell is, it is definitely limited to 700 pounds or so. And if we want to put something that weighs a couple of ton on the sawmill, ain't no way that thing's going to move something that weighs a couple of ton. So this definitely needs to get done. So I'm going to do some more. With these engines running, you can't hear a thing I'm doing. Okay. I got the thing under it. So the chain's out the front there under the front idler. And I had it out the back. I picked it up and laid it over the sprocket, and I started it. And then I sat in it, pulling back on the turning brake for the other side. And in an idle first gear, I had it pull the chain up into a pile here, and then I rolled it out to the front. So now I need to get something to hold the two ends together over the front idler, and get a big whack-a-mole device and see if I can drive in the master pin. And if it won't drive in by hand, then I got to use that homemade pin driver thing. I'm hoping I don't have to. Using it to replace this link is bad enough. So it's up off the ground. You can see the chains underneath it now. You can see, you know, there's built-in slop to it. It's not perfectly square to it all the time. I mean, normally you can't see that because it's underneath the pads, and you can't really see that normally. So I get a ratchet strap, or a, well, most people call it a come along. I've known a few people call it a power pole rather than a come along. So whichever you want to call it, it does the same thing. And of course, this wonderful orange grease. I'm trying to keep this grease off from this camera, and it is. I still wipe my. I'm like, oh, I got it. And that orange grease, it sticks to everything. It's awesome for the pins, but man, trying to keep it off from this camera, that's not cool. So, on to the next step. Now I'm going to have to block it up and then reset the strap so that it will pull some more. Okay, now I got this thing to the point where I need to go back and forth a few feet. So here we go. Getting to the point where it's got enough, I've lost enough rolling resistance. I gotta keep it in gear without it running. So, well, I'm hoping that as I do this, I'm getting the chain on the bottom on more back into the, get a block of wood. The thing's rocked in there hard. And then I'll tighten it up some more and see if I can get it to the point where I can get that doggone pin in there. Well, I figured out why I'm not being able to get the master pin in. These replacements are 35 links, and the originals are 36 links. And that is because these replacements came off from a crawler dozer, and what we have is a crawler loader, and the crawler loader has one more link in the chain. And as you can see, I am approximately 4 inches shy. And that is the difference between 35 and 36 links. You know, if I wanted to make this chain work without adding another link, I would have to pull this idler part and take this tube and cut off part of the tube on that end in there to shorten it up so that that link or that pin would go in there. But the whole purpose of the loader having that extra link is because you're moving the point forward to be able to lift more. So that means that I either have to add another link with the chain on the machine, or completely remove the chain. Actually, I wouldn't have to remove it. I could pull that top back and I could set it on a table back here and push in another link. That would be one way without having to take the chain out from underneath, or rails. Some people call them rails. I call them chains. It's the same thing. So that is the progress so far. So we got to make up our mind whether we salvage a link off from the old chain or contact the person back there in the Dakotas and have another link sent to us. So that is what's up. So I think I'm going to call it a day at this point. All right, a little progress from the next day. I have the chain installed. The extra link that was supposed to repair the other side is all on this side now, so we're gonna have to order 2 more links to make the other side, because apparently it's supposed to be 36 links no matter which version of the machine it is. So I got my nice crappy welds. They're not much to look at, but they'll keep the pins from rattling out of there. So, and I set up this stick. I can get it to sit back up here. That's because you're supposed to count the droop between the center roller and the rear sprocket, and I'm at 1.25 inches. Yeah, I think you're supposed to keep it between 1.25 inches and 3/4 inch of droop, or sag, or belly, or whatever you want to call it. And I got reminded of this thing, that if you count the 2 grease zerks on the track adjusters, this machine has 28 grease zerks on it, which is crazy to think that it has that many grease zerks, but it does. So I've successfully removed 1 bolt from the old track here, and I'm not having very much luck with the 1/2 inch. The 1/2 inch took out that 1 bolt, so I think there's a few of them that may come out with the 1-inch air gun, but the vast majority of these are going to get torched off with a liquid wrench, because when something's a liquid, it can't be a solid anymore. So you can see how much, if I can get this thing to, I'm just wiggling back and forth a couple of links here on the end, and you know, it's beyond done for. So I got the chain on it, and I walked at the base, I don't know, 100 feet up here, just pitter putter. I always wanted, I had to keep pulling the turn brake on the one side, and I was like, what's wrong? Well, The one side still has the pads on the thing, and this side doesn't, so it wants to walk more to one direction because one rotation is bigger than the other rotation. So well, this will be it for today. So I'm gonna have to get the torch down here and start cutting bolts. I got the one bolt out without destroying it. That was the absolute minimum, because we need the one bolt to go get more bolts, because these bolts they're done for. So until I get to recording more of it, get the torch down here, and well, if nobody's ever seen a torch run on propane, I'll be doing it on propane. So that'll be interesting for some people that have never seen a torch work with anything but acetylene. So until then, I think I'm going to call it a night.